Hey everyone, welcome back to another portfolio update video where the portfolio is currently sitting at $203,039.80 on a total all-time gain of $71,423.20 or 54.26%. It's somehow February already, so I will be doing a deeper dive into all the holdings in each of my accounts, as this is something I want to do primarily at the beginning of each month. And also this week, the portfolio did hit a new all-time high, just over $108,000, I believe. I'll throw a screenshot up of when that happened, but this amount quickly fell into the close on Friday, January 31st, after Trump's announcement on tariffs. But there is some great news. We hit 3,000 subscribers this week on the channel, and if you're one of those 3,000, hit the like button below. Let's try and set a new like record on this video for the channel. And if you're not subscribed yet, it would be a perfect time to subscribe and hit the bell icon, as I'm trying to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. And really, at the pace we're going at, with over 100 subscribers per week, we are surprisingly nearly on pace to get there. Popping on over to my TFSA, it's currently valued at $67,161.80. And this week it had a total gain of $1,282.10, or about 1.95%. And checking out the all-time gain, that is still at about $18,500, or just shy of 38%. As for the transactions in the TFSA for the week, I had my reoccurring buys of VFV, QQC, and FBTC, and I did have my very first deposit into my TFSA for 2025 of $1,000. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, since it is a new month, I want to take a deeper dive into all the holdings within each of my accounts. So we'll obviously start here with the TFSA. I'm still holding my 4 shares of Apple, 23 shares of Affirm. AMD, this is a position that, if you did not know, I bought 15 more shares of because this thing has just been beaten to a pulp over the last 10 months, almost 9 months maybe. Anyways, I bought 15 more shares of AMD at pretty much my cost basis, and AMD was a position I took profits on earlier on in 2024. I believe it was maybe, I want to say March, but I can't exactly remember. I got into more detail about this in my last video. But anyways, I had taken profits on AMD at one point because I was up over 100% on my initial 10 shares. So I ended up selling 5 shares last year, and I kind of just held those shares in case anything happened. But the price of AMD pretty much tanked. So I went ahead and bought 15 more shares of that, and all time on this position in this account, I am down on, and I'm considering buying more AMD shares if AMD drops anywhere below 100 USD. As you can see here, I do have a bit of a USD balance in my TFSA to spend, so I am going to use that wisely. Anyways, moving on along, I do also own 4 shares of CrowdStrike. This is a position that I took profits on in 2024 as well. I used to have 8 shares, but I ended up selling some when I was up over 100%. Still up over 100% on that position. Enphase, I have been beaten into the ground with this one, down 62%. Not much to say about that. FBTC, the Bitcoin ETF. This is when I started buying early on in January, up about 3% on this, just under $800 worth so far. Next up, I got Cloudflare, 16 shares, up about 20%. Palantir, I love me some Palantir. 10 shares of Palantir, up 444%. I cannot tell you guys how much I wish I bought more shares of Palantir. I think I initially owned 15 shares of Palantir in this account at an average cost basis of $14, $15 maybe. And well, Palantir is at $80 to $85 right now. If this is a position I wish I bought more of, this would be the number one position that I wish I bought more of. But anyways, next up I got QQC, about $2,300 worth, up about 9%. Next up, Shopify, 20 shares of Shopify. And if you didn't know, Shopify's been on a tear. It's been doing extremely well. But I bought these shares when Shopify was at all-time highs in late 2021. So I am still down on this position in the TFSA, down about almost 13%. I'm going to hold them. I do believe Shopify will come back and make higher highs eventually. I think they're a great company. And next up, speaking of great companies, in my opinion, Tesla, 20 shares of Tesla, up 158%. That's more than I thought. I will likely take profits on Tesla eventually. I believe it's sitting at just over 400 a share right now. The plan is to probably take profits around 500 USD, between 500 and 520 USD is my take profit zone. So be on the lookout for that in 2025. I believe we might see that. And next up, I got TTD, 26 shares, up 47%. This is one that I'm looking to take profits on when I see the golden plus 100% at some point. I think it will get there as long as the market stays strong. Next up, VFV, S&P 500, 74.5 shares, or about $11,600 in there, up 49%. XEQT, 405 shares, or $14,000 worth, just up 13% on this one. And then lastly, I have Block, which is now goes under the ticker XYZ. This changed sometime in the last week or two. Anyways, I got 8 shares in here, down 40%. Kind of on a bit of a loss on this one, but I think they should do pretty well going into the future. All right, next up, my RRSP, it's at $57,737.87. This account was up $514.55 on the week, or 0.9%. And checking out the all-time performance, this account is up about $23,000, or 66.4%. For the transactions in the account, nothing crazy whatsoever, just my 3 reoccurring buys of VOO, SCHD, and FBTC. And for the holdings in the RRSP, I'm holding 4 shares of AMD. I'm up 26% on this position. I used to have 8 shares of AMD in this account, but just like my TFSA, I took profit on AMD when it was up well over 100% and sold half of my shares. And I'm even considering buying more AMD in the RRSP if it dips anywhere below 100 USD. I think that is a great sale for the stock. So be on the lookout for that. And I would likely fund that AMD purchase by selling my Amazon shares as one part of it, and then some of my Google shares as the other part. I think I've got made between these two stocks about 1,500 USD between the two stocks. And I would just throw all of that into AMD if I saw that dip under $100, as I do believe the upside for AMD short term is more than Amazon and Google combined. Anyway, speaking of Amazon, I own 3.146 shares, about $750. This position's up about 50%. Next, my FBTC position that was just started in the new year, about $200 worth so far, only up 2%. Next, Google, 3.7 shares, or $750 USD. This one's up 50% as well. And HXQ, 94 shares, or about $8,400, up 80%. I bought these HXQ shares in like 2022 when things were at rock bottom. Wish I bought more, but don't we always wish that we bought more when times were tough? Anyways, more shares of Palantir. Another one that I wish I bought more of. I'm sitting on about 1,600 USD of Palantir in the RRSP, up 188%. I was DCAing into Palantir for a few months, up until it hit about $30 a share, and I thought, you know what, it's getting quite expensive for Palantir. I'm going to chill on the buys, but had I just kept dollar cost averaging, I would have rode it up into like, I would have just kept riding it up as it hit like $80. I wish I bought more, but at the same time, I'm quite happy with 20 shares of Palantir right now in the RRSP. And I did actually have 40 shares. I actually forgot. I ended up selling half of my Palantir shares and took profit at some point. It was probably in a previous video. But yeah, these are just like free money in this Palantir position right now. Next up, though, I have PayPal, 5 shares of PayPal, down 18%. I think that will recover. And I got SCHD, 210 shares, or just under 6,000 USD, up 8%. This has underperformed the market generally. I did kind of expect SCHD to do a little bit better than what it has, but keep in mind there is about a 4% dividend on this, so the actual return of this is a little bit higher than 8%, maybe somewhere between like 10 and 11%. But either way, I'm going to continue holding this and buying it. I think it is a good long-term hold. Next, Shopify, 10 shares of Shopify, up 90%. Unlike my TFSA, which I'm down like 15% or whatever. I bought these Shopify shares in the RRSP after it had crashed, so this was a good, decent time to buy Shopify in this account, so I'm quite happy with that. I may even take profits on Shopify when this reaches like, if it ever reaches like 150% or 200% return. And I do have Tesla, 15 shares in this account, or about 6,200 USD. This one's up 55%. I will likely take profits on this when Tesla hits between 500 and 520, just like the TFSA. And at that point, I believe my return in the RRSP on Tesla will be upwards of 100%. Next, TTD, only 5 shares in here. I used to own 10. I ended up taking profits on this one as well in 2024, up 81% on the position here that I have riding still. And then VOO, 24.3 shares, or about 13,500 USD. This one's done quite well, obviously. Can't go wrong with the S&P 500, up just under 25%. And lastly, Block, or XYZ as it goes by now, only 2 shares, down just under 12%. Now the non-registered account, this one is at $19,356.24. This account was up $60 or 0.31% over the past week. And all time the account is still up $7,300 or just under 61%. And I finally do have some transactions to cover in the non-registered account for once. I ended up selling 4 of the main ETFs in this account, and I will explain that. But to start out, I ended up selling about $1,600 of VDY, $800 of VCE, about $600 of VIU, and lastly about $250 of V. And then with the cash from those sales, I ended up transferring $1,000 over to my TFSA. So that was where the deposit into the TFSA came from. It came from the non-registered account and the positions that I sold off in here. And the total amount that those positions that I sold for came to about $3,400. So obviously I have about $2,400 of CAD left in the non-registered account now. And as for my reasoning why I sold these positions in here, it's because I want to start funneling some of this non-registered money over into my registered account. So that obviously is going to mean selling off my positions gradually throughout the year to fund both my TFSA and RRSP. And after all these sales in this account this week, I am only left with 1 position in my entire account, and that is just VFE. I've got about $17,000 of VFE in the account, up 65.63%. The crypto account is at $40,879.40. This account was actually down almost $3,000 this week, or 6.67%. And the all-time performance of the account is still up 26.8K or 190%. And there were absolutely 0 transactions to cover in this account for the week. So let's jump into all the holdings I have in my crypto account. Starting with Cardano, I have about $1,100 in Cardano, up 227%. I've got just under 16,000 in Bitcoin, up 161%. The actual return of my Bitcoin though was like over 200%. I explained why I did this in the previous video, so if you want to watch my previous video on that to hear my explanation, feel free to go back to that video. But anyways, as it stands right here on paper, it's showing 161%. Next, I have $288 of Cody, down 42%. And then I have $194 worth of Dogecoin, up 289%. Then I have about $2,000 of Polkadot, down 7.2%. And then Ethereum, I've got $9,500 worth, up 54%. And actually, this was the same as my Bitcoin. I explained why the return on my Ethereum is lower than it should be. My return on Ethereum should be about 80%. But like I said, go watch my previous video if you want to hear my explanation. Next, I have KNC, only about $57. This position is down 37%. Then I have $5,000 of Chainlink, up pretty much 150%. And Mana, $287 worth, down 61%. And $2,000 of Polygon, down 47%. $4,000 worth of Solana, up 566%. That's crazy. And lastly, just $210 worth of XRP, up 509%. Last but not least is my cash account, which is valued at $17,843.49. And I did have a $1,200 deposit into the account this week, as well as a $49.48 interest payment, as it is a new month, and of course, I get my interest payments every month on the 1st. I would like to remind everyone that the Bank of Canada did drop interest rates 0.25% this week, and if we scroll down here, we can check out the upcoming date for the next potential rate cut. It is set for the 12th of March, and the likelihood that it stays the same is currently sitting at 60%, and the likelihood that it's going to drop another 0.25% is at 41%. I'm really on the fence of which way this is going to go. Obviously, I mean, the odds are pretty equal, but I would say we're probably going to stay at 3%, but I'll let you guys know if this changes later on in the year when it gets closer to March 12th. Over here on my portfolio tracking spreadsheet now, we did log a new bar on the chart as it is obviously February now. And as you can see, on February 1st, the portfolio was actually valued at $205,138.55. This was about $10,000 gain month over month from January 1st, which is pretty solid. This is the first time that we've closed or logged a bar on the chart here over $200,000, so that's quite exciting. And if we go down to my individual accounts, TFSA is setting a new all-time high at $67,160 here. The RRSP setting a new all-time high on the bar chart at $57,500. And obviously the FHSA, which we closed last year, nothing to report on there. The non-registered account did drop. That is because I did take out $1,000 and put it into my TFSA. And my crypto account kind of rebounding here in February. Month over month, about $4,000 gain month over month. Although I did have a small little deposit of other crypto into this account in January. And then lastly, the cash account saw a little bump as well. Not really a whole lot to report on in the cash account. I am quite cash heavy right now, but the plan is that I'm going to use up a lot of this in my TFSA and RRSP throughout 2025, and I kind of always want to have about $10,000 in my cash account, as I do sort of treat it as a bit of an emergency fund if I were to ever need the funds. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy, be sure to smash that like button below, and if you're new, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Let's hit 10,000 subscribers this year. I know we can do it, but other than that, thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time.